Knowing I plan to get a book on graphic design, my girlfriend gifted me Taschen's The History of Graphic Design last Valentine's Day. Since that is special, I decided to wait before unpacking and do a little review, discussing impressions and favorite aspects. Unpacking. Written and edited by James Mueller and Julius Weidman, The History of Graphic Design celebrates Taschen's 40th anniversary. It feels exceptionally premium, coming wrapped in nice plastic, and according to Time magazine, quote, James Mueller ambitiously traces not only the evolution of an industry, but also the arc of our aesthetics, unquote. Similarly, the German magazine Spiegel defines it as, quote, chronicle, a treasure of pictures, source of ideas, and above all great fun, unquote. Multilingual Edition. With more than 500 pages, The History of Graphic Design is a multilingual edition. In addition to English, it has its content in German and French, which I don't know actually. Geniuses. It encompasses works from about 150 top design studios, including the geniuses behind Apple, General Electric, FedEx, Michelin, MTV, and even New York City's guide and subway maps, which I cover extensively. Dual page numbering. The History of Graphic Design has dual page numbers, one for the actual pages and another for the years. This lets readers associate favorite designs with the time frames they actually came into being, so it's pretty educative too. Timeline. The History of Graphic Design covers graphic design from the 1890s to today. It focuses on the transition from industrialized to digital workflows. And in addition to iconic works and information, it includes quotes and comments emblematic of the eras. Art and technology. One example is the German architect and designer Peter Behrens, who defined sophisticated technological principles as mandatory for works of art. Quote, I try to show that by their very nature, art and technology are two very different intellectual expressions, and that is an aesthetic fallacy for us to believe that only through applying technological principles, namely out of the most extreme and most concise fulfillment of a purpose, can a thing of beauty be created. Unquote. Simplicity. In my humble opinion, many creators can actually benefit from meditating by juxtaposing this to the following by Paul Rand, who developed the corporate identities of Westinghouse and IBM. Quote, simple ideas as well as simple designs are ironically the products of circuitous mental purposes. Simplicity is difficult to achieve, yet worth the effort. Unquote. I also think both of these go hand in hand / complement the following from the book Ikigai by Francis Miralles and Hector Garcia. Quote, what do Japanese artisans, engineers, Zen philosophy and cuisine have in common? Simplicity and attention to detail. It is not lazy simplicity, but a sophisticated one that searches out new frontiers, always taking the object, the body and mind, or the cuisine to the next level, according to one's Ikigai. Unquote. Gaming and indie brands. While my teenage StarCraft obsession was surrounded by the IBM logo, later I found Rand's work actually influenced independent brands like Fatlace and Dara Illest. It occurs to me that Westinghouse's 1960 vehicles informed those brands' t-shirt and even toy designs. Let me know if you agree. Big bangs. Throughout its length, the history of graphic design exemplifies how technological invention fosters design innovation, and while seemingly insignificant, such moments become pivotal to design, hence the authors regard them as big bangs. Posters and rebellion. Earlier examples include when in the 1880s, the Parisian printer Jules Charette discovered the ability to produce perfectly fitting, multicolored posters. A more recent one when in the 1980s, young designers rebelled against sober and plain graphics. The 1990s. Discussing the 1990s, the history of graphic design reveals that while digital media was previously new for the craft, then, like now, anyone could create their own works. A groundbreaking change which made professionals step up their game, knowing part-timers and hobbyists could be just as good. Apple and Adobe. Thanks to Apple's first graphics-oriented machine and Adobe's PageMaker, people were enabled to design books and magazines entirely digitally. Such accessibility reshaped the industry's face by pushing the creation of more graphics processing software like Photoshop, released in 1990. Graphic design. No matter the tools and technology, graphic design's primary functions don't change much during its evolution, though the actual designs are in perpetual development. According to James and Julius, identifying the most recent chapter is often challenging as time is required to pass. Synthesis. In that regard, the authors liken graphic design to fashion and not architecture. Like the first, design trends are created to dominate significantly shorter periods, yet they always synthesize cultural, political, and technological influences. Maps and guides. Taschen's The History of Graphic Design provides the stories behind the maps and guides of some of the most monumental cities. Starting with Milan and London, this proceeds with no other than New York City, the birthplace of the culture I grew up with. A Helvetica masterpiece. In 1970, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority MTA assigned the Chicago design firm Unimark International to improve New York City's subway map. Directed by Massimo Vignelli and Bob Norda, the project was approved in 1971. To this day, it is considered a masterpiece and one of the most extensive usages of Helvetica typeface. Graffiti. Inviting admiration, New York City's subway maps are special for people like me. They serve as canvases for some of the most prominent graffiti pioneers. Besides being maps, they actually hold the works of legends like Cope 2 and Scene and go for about $2,000 or even more. So whether Vignelli likes it or not, his work inspired a whole genre in graffiti, painting on maps alluding to the art form's essence, which is burning trains. Grids. According to Vignelli, quote, "Syntactic consistency is of paramount importance in graphic design as it is in all human endeavors. Grids are one of the several tools helping designers to achieve syntactical consistency in graphic design." Unquote. Besides graffiti burners, I think Vignelli's quote can actually provoke web developers to rediscover the grid and perhaps even the flexbox models, which I like to discuss with the seasoned web designer that is my girlfriend. Final words. In conclusion, Taschen's The History of Graphic Design is not just a book. It is a vibrant journey through the evolution of visual communication. It meticulously curates the field's milestones and celebrates its pioneers. Whether you're an industry professional or an enthusiast, the book can serve as an essential source of inspiration. As usual, Taschen has demonstrated devotion to high quality and educative, visually stunning work. I recommend the book to anyone looking just for that, and I couldn't be more grateful to my girl. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think, and thank you for your time.